Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Let's Talk on DNT Work. My name is Oluwatosin, and I have Dr. Matthew Kashman Oluwatosin Oyeneye. He is the senior pastor, JCCI Faith Arena, North London, United Kingdom, and he is also a financial expert. On today's edition of Let's Talk, we'll be talking about the psychology of making financial decisions. The psychology of making financial decisions is the topic for today, and I would appreciate if you can take your time to pay attention to this discussion, as it will definitely help you.
JK Royal Signatures, a blend of African fabric.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for coming on the show. It's nice having you.
Thank you very much for having me this morning.
Thank you,
It's my
sir.
pleasure.
Same here. So, sir, could you please give us a general overview of what policy making or decision making is when it comes to the psychology of money?
Very much. First and foremost, I want to make it clear that I will not be speaking as an expert in psychology.
Okay.
I'll be speaking from two perspectives: from a professionally trained financial expert, and also as a pastor, a clergyman.
Okay, sir.
So we are looking at factors affecting financial behavior or decision making. There are quite a number of them. I'll try to mention as much as possible this morning. Primarily, our personality traits is part of it. Individual characteristics such as risk tolerance, impulsivity, largely influences our decision when we want to make, want to decide on financial issues. Also, our emotions could also affect the outcome of our decisions. Emotions like fear, greed, anxiety, and so on and so forth could also make some definite impact in the outcome of our decision when we are talking about financial issues. Again, our cognitive biases can also affect this policy decision making. Our social environment of social factors can also contribute to the outcome of our decisions. And of course, our cultural background as well. I don't know whether I should just
no, if you can just, if you still have more, I would like to know, because of course I was also going to do, definitely you will give a brief overview on the foundations, which of course of those things you mentioned. I know that foundations of financial behavior, like you mentioned earlier, and what affects financial decisions. These are the things you've outrightly mentioned. But again, when we look at the practical aspect of it, what would you say are the foundations?
The foundations actually, maybe I should just take one of the factors and look at, the deeper aspect of the foundation. For instance, if we are looking at the personality traits of an individual that is, to make the decision, we want to see, because there are quite a number of, classification in our personalities. There are some of us who are savers. Some of us are spenders. Some of us are investors. It is also possible to combine any of these traits together. For instance, a saver could also be an investor. Some of us could be risk takers, and some of us could be financially cautious. When it comes to anything finance, we want to take extra caution in making our conclusion, in making our judgment, in making our decisions. So there are so many factors that, like we said, foundations matter in many of these things.
Okay. Now, moving forward, I know that you mentioned something about cultural interferences or influences. Now, what do you have to say about the social and cultural would I say influences on financial decisions? And also there is something that we call black tax, meaning black tax is okay because of the burden from family, friends, and all of that, or the fact that your parents trained you and then you're expected to give back and all of. So these are what we call black tax, having to consistently carry the burden of a family, and because of the culture where we come from, it is something that we do because you know that okay, I care about my family, I want to support my family. But again, this all of these things actually are things that affect someone's financial stability. So what would you say about social and cultural influences when it comes to the psychology of financial decisions?
Largely because of our background, I'm talking about African culture.
Mm-hmm.
We extended the definition of family beyond just father, mother, and siblings. There is this extended factors in African culture and perhaps in some other climes as well. But largely in Africa, family is not limited to just father, mother, and siblings. We talk about cousins, nephews, other relatives. We still see ourselves as family. And because of the background, that nature, we tend to extend our responsibilities beyond our immediate family. So it is possible for my mother's sister to just drop her daughter or son with me. And from there, that becomes my own responsibility. Maybe send him or her to school, or empower her or him. And so we can see that what you call, is it family tag or whatever you call it?
The black tax.
So it means that our responsibility is expanded beyond what the average English culture would call family. So our responsibility goes beyond just our immediate family, as it were, defined.
I know of someone who says, my dad said, oh, now that you're done with school, you're supposed to be bringing return. So the girl was actually under pressure because that's what she's going to be working on just to ensure that, okay, because they've already told her this, they've told her that. So now she, by virtue of the fact that she's the first child, she already has that mindset. So in fact, she's not working for herself. So it looks like whatever she's doing, I want to give back to my family. So it looks like she is carrying the burden. And now, which is why I want us to go into the marital space whereby financial decisions could either make the marriage or mar the marriage. So in this instance, what would you advise couples to do in order to make the best decisions when it comes to marriage? Because take, for instance, a single person, when you're single, you are always, okay, I do this, when you want to do that. But now, before you even do anything, you need to consult your partner. You won't just, even though the money is yours, you still need to consult your partner. I know someone that said, oh, but it's my money. I can do whatever I want with my money. So these things actually are the things that I want us to quickly look into in the psychology of making financial decisions in this aspect.
Thank you once again. I love my background. I mean, we are African descent, but unfortunately, there are some backlog or baggages that we have carried into the modern day living.
Mm.
Some families sees the training of their children as future investments that has to pay back, that must be returned on their investment. And obviously, expectations are very high when an average son or daughter graduates or, become independent in life. So they still have to fall back on making returns, to their, whether immediate or extended family. Also now, when they now get married, they are supposed to be another independent family. When we're talking about, say, Christian culture, for instance, because husband and wife are expected to be one now. Nature, Bible says, two shall become one. But because of the attachment of the African background, the culture, we still have to, consult one another in the new relationship. In the new independent family. You can't say, my own money is my money. The two of you now, that becomes one. Either of you, your money becomes your money, our money. But when we have an understanding of our culture and our background, there will be this, decent consideration for both of us, whether my own family or your own family. They needed us to extend our benevolence to them. We still have to include them in our planning, in our budgeting, in our decisions, because of the nature of our culture and our background. So that is why, because like I said, some families see their children as their future investment that must bring back returns. But there is a beauty in that. For instance, I don't want to undermine any culture. I lived, well, I'm still living because though I relocated back to Nigeria, but I lived in England for over 20 years. Will you believe it that my immediate neighbor, I cannot, confidently say this is their, proper name. We see one another on the street and greet. We say hello once in a while, but the intimacy, the relationship is not just there like it is in Africa, where your family, all of them can just come on a weekend and say they want to spend time with you. They don't have to give you notice before they come. So there is nothing, it doesn't really happen easily in Africa for somebody to be lonely or isolated, because all the neighbors want to interact with you day and night, every now and then, which is not a common thing in other climes. So perhaps because of that, nature and culture, that is why we will still have to recognize that all of us were a large family. And where it becomes necessary, we still have to extend our hands of fellowship and help and benevolence to one another because of time.
Now,
So that
but
is,
when it comes to that aspect, how would you then advise people to be able to make decent financial decisions? Because again, there will always be an impromptu request. There will always be something that miscellaneous exigencies. Now, having to in having to balance helping people and also sustaining yourself.
yes. When we have a good understanding of that background, that our needs are not just limited to our immediate, nucleus family. We know that we still have some extensions to both the paternal, maternal, the in-laws, both sides. Then when we are planning our budgeting, our decisions, we would, like we have mentioned, there will also be provisions for miscellaneous or unexpected exigencies. No matter how little it is, there will always be that provision there. And it doesn't matter whether it is for me as a husband or for my wife, the request or the calling is coming from. The cost or the budget is available to everyone that is connected to us, both on both sides. And once we all have a little, a solid agreement on that, then there will not be any friction when decisions is to be taken. Sometimes the pressure may be coming too much from one side, but when we see all of them as part of us and one of us, we will not be negatively impacted when the calling or the request tend to be coming from one side more than the other, because we all see ourselves as one, whether my own family or my wife's family, all of them, all of us, we are together. So wherever as long as the request is genuine and we consider it needful and necessary, then it will not. In fact, it's always better to put the female member of the family as in charge of the decision when it comes to money, so that there will be little or no frictions.